Good evening and welcome to the Nilvah Nexus. I am James and the Idol Smasher as I've been known, and this is a weekly Torah chat discussion and reading of the Torah as well. James the Idol Smasher at gmail.com is my email address. If you'd like to get a hold of me, would love to have you here in the chat live. All you need is a microphone and the link provided to you in up here. And if you're watching on YouTube and on Facebook, you'll see a StreamYard link down below. Click on that with a mic, and you are in like Flynn. Glad to have you here. I'm not sure Rosalie will be around. We've had, there's been, well, let's just say some family mourning. So I'm just going to leave it at that. And Rosalie, we love you, and you're in our prayers. And thank you for everything you are, and we wish you the absolute best, you and yours, the absolute best. What's going on? What is going on? Parsha Re'eh, that means to see or see. I thought we just might get right into it. One of my favorite things is blessings and curses. One of the great teachings I've found in my my later years of studying Torah is I love it when things kind of hit on the nose. I love it when that happens, because there's so the topic of Torah, or what's taught, can be so big and cosmic, but it's also incredibly personal. And particularly when things are going bad, I think this particular parsha will give an example as to possibly why. When we ask what is wrong with the world today, are we keeping the base 7 laws for civilization? I mean, it's the last thing we think of, isn't it? Are we keeping the 10 Commandments? How's that? Is the base question right there. Well, then that might be the reason for some problems. And the thing is, I really believe, I'm not a big afterlife guy, so I'm not particularly interested in the world to come per se. I believe there's a world to come for my children and their children, God willing. But I'm not sure about myself. I'm not sure about the afterlife thing. Dennis Prager, says you can't go with, the afterlife has to be there. And, and for things to make sense for him, for me, it's like the afterlife cheapens the one I've got. I personally believe that one's wickedness comes back to them now. I believe the direct effects of sin ripple from them into the world. And it's not something that's taken care of after death. It's not something that's taken care of by a third party or somebody else, or God forbid, God himself decides to pay for your sin for you. That's the thing about, I have a problem with Western civilization. I know a guy who was doing something he shouldn't have. And but then he makes some gesture with this Duncan baptism thing, and he keeps on with doing what he was doing. And it's bad. I'll just say it's one of the big ones. I'll just leave it to you there. It's definitely a 7. And then he puts it back up to remind everybody, when he got and how so and so has taken their sins away. And it's like, no, man, you keep doing what you were doing. That magical Duncan did you nothing. It was meaningless. In my belief, if you want to believe that, that nobody pays for your sin, that's just horse hockey. Naturally, murder alone would directly affect at least a family, let alone a community, let alone possibly a city. You never know how big these things get, how they affect people. Everything, man's, from what I've learned from Torah, man's morality directly affects the physical world. So we got to be careful, man. Especially when you make grandiose statements. I mean, what's that say about your particular church? It's probably kind of embarrassing for all the people that are standing around you, all happy for you, and you're still. I mean, I'm sure they're going to forgive you, and we're all good people. We want to help our brother when his foot slips, sure. But especially when you're doing it publicly, and some of us are like, oh, dude, okay. But I just want to get to it. So I'm going to read some of this, and I just might read the whole thing. We'll see how it goes. I would love to have you in here once again. Please feel free. If you have a microphone, you can join. You don't need a camera. Otherwise, I'll try to keep an eye on the chat and the comments here. I don't know if I get all the Facebook ones, but I'll keep that open on my other screen here. I'm like in the bat cave, I got a bunch of stuff. Oh, Rosalie needs a link. Rosalie needs a link. Oh, Rosalie needs a link. I see you, Rosalie. I'm getting you a link. Hang on a minute, y'all. I'm getting there. Where did I put that? Where did I put that link? Where are we? Oh my goodness, I didn't have it on that one either. Oh, I have it down here. Good night. Okay, we're going to copy that link, and we're going to paste that link here, and we're going to paste that link here, and that's, whoa. Hang on a minute. Just a moment. I do everything broadcast on a laptop. So everything else is done on another computer. And so I apologize for the delay. Love, amateur live broadcasting. Okay, moving right along. All right, well, there she is. All right, well, let's just get Rosalie in here. Good evening, my lady. Good evening. I'm so glad to see you here. So glad you're here, Rosalie. Thank you. Shalom, shalom.
I've been waiting and waiting. I've been waiting for the link, man. It didn't show. It's like, hey, where's your glasses? Okay. All righty then.
I had the link on one post, but not on the other, and
it wasn't there. It wasn't there in the orphans either. So it's like, oh, I'll check over there. Well, if not, well, hey.
I'm not even going to look.
See.
I had a job interview, and I got home right as I was about to start getting ready, and so I'm a little scattered.
You're fine. You're fine. You're fine.
I was just about to start reading the Parsha. Is that all right with you? Is there anything you'd like to share?
That's fine. No, go ahead.
I do got a little bit of crud in me.
All right.
I came from school. Kids go back to school and they all get sick.
Imagine that. Well, it's allergy season too, so that doesn't help matters.
All right. Vitamin C. Something sweet when you study Torah. Rabbi Kraft said that to me years ago. He always kept grapes or, some tangerines or something around when he'd study.
Right.
Okay. And I was just telling you earlier, I don't know if you were watching, but I'm a little passionate about this kind of stuff. And see, I present. Oh, by the way, we are on Deuteronomy 11:12. That's where today's Parsha begins.
I've got 11:26.
Oh, through 26:12.
11:26 through
on this page. All right. See, I present before you today a blessing and a curse. The blessing that you hearken to the commandments of Hashem, your God, and that I command you today. And the curse, if you do not hearken to the commandments of Hashem, your God, and you stray from the path that I commanded you today to follow gods of others, that you did not know. I shall be there when it shall be that when Hashem, your God, brings you to, just a moment. Eyeballs.
Sorry. We love you. There you go.
And it shall be that when Hashem, your God, brings you to the land to which you come to possess it, then you shall deliver the blessing on Mount Gerizim and the curse on Mount Ebal. And they not on the other side of the Jordan, far in the direction of the sunset, in the land of the Canaanites that dwells in the plain, far from Gilgal, near the plains of Moreh. For you are crossing the Jordan to come to possess the land that Hashem your God gives you. You shall possess it, and you shall settle it. You shall be careful to perform all the decrees and all the ordinances that I present before you today. These are the decrees and the ordinances that you shall observe to perform in the land that Hashem, the God of your fathers, has given you to possess it all the days that you live in the land. You shall utterly destroy all the places where the nations that you shall possess worship their gods, on the high mountains and on the hills and under every leafy tree. You shall break apart their altars, you shall smash their pillars, and their sacred trees shall you burn in the fire. Their carved images shall you cut down, you shall obliterate their names from that place. You shall not do this to Hashem your God. Rather, only at the place that Hashem your God will choose from among all your tribes to place his name there, shall you seek out his presence and come there. And there shall you bring your elevation offerings and feast offerings, your tithes, and what you raise up with your hand, your vow offerings and your free will offerings, and the firstborn of your cattle and your flocks. You shall eat there before Hashem your God, and you shall rejoice with your every undertaking, you and your households, as Hashem your God has blessed you. You shall not do like everything that we do here today. Rather, every man what is proper in his eyes, for you will not yet have come to the resting place or to the heritage that Hashem your God gives you. You shall cross the Jordan and settle in the land that Hashem your God causes you to inherit, and he will give you rest from all your enemies all around, and you will dwell securely. It shall be that place where Hashem your God will choose to rest his name, there you shall bring everything that I command you, your elevation offerings and your feast offerings, your tithes, and what you raise up with your hand, and the choicest of your vow offerings that you vow to Hashem. You shall rejoice before Hashem your God, you, your sons and your daughters, your slaves and your maidservants, and the Levite who is in your cities, for he has no share and inheritance with you. Beware yourself lest you bring up your elevation offerings in any place that you see, rather only in the place that Hashem will choose among one of your tribes. There you will bring up your elevation offerings, and there you shall do all that I command you. However, in all your soul's desire, you may slaughter and eat meat according to the blessing that Hashem your God will have given you in all your cities. The contaminated one and the pure one may eat it, like the deer and the hart. But you shall not eat the blood. You shall pour it unto the earth like water. In your cities you may not eat the tithe of your grain and your wine and your oil, the firstborn of your cattle and your flocks, all your vow offerings that you vow, and your free will offerings, and what you raise up with your hand. You may not eat. Rather, you shall eat them before Hashem your God in the place that Hashem your God will choose, you, your son, your daughter, your slave, your maidservant, and the Levite who is in your cities. You shall rejoice before Hashem your God in your every generation. Beware of yourself lest you forsake the Levite all the days of your land. When Hashem your God will broaden your boundary as he spoke to you, and you say, I would eat meat, for you will have a desire to eat meat. To your heart's entire desire may you eat meat. If the place where Hashem your God will choose to place his name will be far from you, you may slaughter from your cattle and your flocks that Hashem has given you, as I have commanded you. And you may eat in your cities according to your heart's entire desire. Even as the deer and the hart are eaten, so you may eat it. The contaminated one and the pure one may eat it together. Only be strong not to eat the blood. For the blood, it is the life, and you shall not eat the life with the meat. You shall not eat it. You shall pour it onto the ground like water. Did I read this already? Yes, I did.
No, you didn't. It's a repeat.
Okay. See, this is Moses making sure we're aware.
25. Yep.
You shall not eat it in order that it be okay. You shall not eat it in order that it be well with you and your children after you, when you do what is right in the eyes of Hashem. Okay, we're getting some more good stuff. We'll keep going. Only your sanctities.
No, 26.
26. Only your sanctities that you will have and your vow offerings shall you carry, and come to the place that Hashem will choose. You shall perform your elevation offerings, the flesh and the blood, upon the altar of Hashem your God, and the place of your feast offerings shall be poured upon the altar of Hashem your God, and you shall eat the flesh. Safeguard and hearken to all these words that I command you, in order that it be well with you and your children after you forever. When you do what is good and right in the eyes of Hashem your God. When Hashem your God will cut down the nations to which you come to take possession from them before you, and you will take possession from them and settle in their land, beware for yourself, lest you be attracted after them after they have been destroyed after you, and lest you seek out their gods, saying, how did these nations worship their gods? And even I will do the same. You shall not do so to Hashem your God, for everything that is an abomination of Hashem that he hates have they done to their gods. For even their sons and their daughters they have burned in the fire for their gods. Yeah, right? I mean, we've gotten a lot better in many ways. It hadn't stopped, but we've gotten a lot better. Here we go. This is a good one. This is
Deuteronomy 13, number 1.
Yes. Just someone's having a hard time out there, and I might have to go rescue.
You want me to read it?
I think we're all right.
Okay.
The entire word that I command you that you shall observe to do, you shall not add to it, and you shall not subtract from it.
Big verse. Go ahead.
If there should stand up in your midst a prophet or a dreamer of a dream, and he will produce to you a sign or a wonder, and the sign or the wonder comes about, of which he spoke to you, saying, let us follow gods of others that you did not know, and we shall worship them. Do not hearken to the words of that prophet, or to that dreamer of a dream, for Hashem your God is testing you to know whether you love Hashem your God with all your heart and with all your soul. Hashem your God shall you follow, and him you shall fear. His commandments shall you observe, and to his voice shall you hearken. Him shall you serve, and him shall you cleave. And the prophet and that dreamer of dreams shall be put to death, for he had spoken perversion against Hashem your God, who takes you out of the land of Egypt, and who redeems you from the house of slavery, to make you stray from the path on which Hashem your God has commanded you to go, and you shall destroy evil from your midst. If your brother, the son of your mother, or your son, or your daughter, or the wife of your bosom, or your friend who is like your own soul, will entice you secretly, saying, let us go and worship the gods of others that you did not know, you or your forefathers, from the gods of the peoples that are all around you, those near to you or those far from you, from one end of the earth to the other end of the earth, you shall not accede to them, and not hearken to him. Your eyes shall not take pity on him. You shall not be compassionate, nor conceal him. Rather, you shall surely kill him. Your hand shall be the first against him to kill him, and the hand of the entire people afterwards. You shall pelt him with stones, and he shall die. For he sought to make you stray from near Hashem your God, who takes you out of Egypt from the house of slavery. All Israel shall hear and fear, and they shall not again do such an evil thing in your midst. And if you wonder what's going on in the world, are we keeping the 7? Rosalie, big. The entire word that I command you that you shall observe to do, you shall not add to it, and you shall not subtract from it. That's right. Go ahead, right?
Right. Correctamundo. 13.
Yeah. If in one of your cities that Hashem your God gives to you in which to dwell, you hear saying, lawless men have emerged from your midst, and they have caused the dwellers of their city to go astray, saying, let us go and worship the gods of others that you have not known. You shall seek out and investigate and inquire well, and behold, it is true, the word is correct, this abomination was committed in your midst. You shall surely smite the inhabitants of that city with the edge of the sword, lay it waste, and everything that is in it, and its animals with the edge of the sword. You shall gather together all its booty to the midst of its open square, and you shall burn in fire completely the city and all its booty to Hashem your God, and it shall be an eternal heap. It shall not be rebuilt. No part of the banned property may adhere to your hand, so that Hashem will turn back from his burning wrath, and he will give you mercy and be merciful to you and multiply you, as he swore to your forefathers when you hearkened to the voice of Hashem your God, to observe all his commandments that I command you today, to do what is right in the eyes of Hashem your God. I love the law. I love reading the law. We are on 14:1.
Mm-hmm.
You are children to Hashem, your God. You shall not cut yourselves, and you shall not make a bald spot between your eyes for a dead person. For you are a holy people to Hashem, your God. I just want to reiterate, in case you're just tuning in for the first time, we're not really sure. Holy in Judaism means separated. Nothing more. That's how it's read. That's how we read the Torah. When we read the Chumash. That's how you are to be a separated people to Hashem, your God. And Hashem has chosen you for himself to be a treasured people from among all the peoples on the face of the earth. You shall not eat any abomination. These are the animals you may eat: the ox, the sheep, the goat, the hart, deer, and the yakmer, the yako, the shon, the teo, and the zamer.
Can I read what that says?
I had to go. I was going to comments. You go right ahead, please.
Okay, these are the animals that you may eat: ox, lamb, and kid, gazelle, deer, and antelope, ibex, chamois, bison, and giraffe. Okay, I just wanted to clarify that. Go ahead, number 6.
You want to keep going?
Sure.
Go ahead.
And every animal that has a split hoof and has a hoof cloven unto 2 hoof sections, and choose cud among the animals that you may eat. But you shall not eat those that chew cud, or those that have split hooves: the cloven one, the camel, the hyrax, the hare, for they chew cud, but they do not have split hooves, and they are unclean for you. And the pig, because it has a split hoof, but it does not chew its cud, it is unclean for you. You shall neither eat of its flesh nor touch their carcass. These you may eat, all that are in the waters. All that have fins and scales you may eat. But whatever does not have fins and scales you shall not eat. It's unclean for you. You may eat every clean bird, but these are those from which you shall not eat: the eagle or the griffin vulture, the ossifrage, the osprey, and the white vulture, and the black vulture, and the kite after its species, and every raven after its species, and the ostrich, and the owl, and the gull, and the hawk, and after all its species, the falcon, the ibis, and the bat, and the pelican, and the magpie, and the cormorant, the stork, and the heron, and its species, the hoopoe, and the adeleth. Excuse me. And every flying insect is unclean for you. They may not be eaten. You may eat any clean fowl. You shall not eat any carcass. You may give it to the stranger who is in your cities, that he may eat it, or you may sell it to the foreigner. For you are a holy people to the Lord your God. You shall not cook a kid in his mother's milk. Okay. You shall tithe all the seed crop of the fields gives forth year by year. And you shall eat before the Lord your God in a place he chooses to establish his name therein. The tithes of your grain, your wine, and your oil, and the firstborn of your cattle and your sheep, so that you may learn to fear the Lord your God with all your days. And if the way be too long for you, that you are unable to carry it, for the place to which the Lord your God chooses to establish his name therein, it is too far from you, for the Lord your God will bless you. Then you shall turn into money and bind up the money in your hand, and you shall go to the place the Lord your God will choose. And you shall turn that money into whatever your soul desires, cattle, sheep, new wine, or old wine, or whatever your soul desires. And you shall eat there before the Lord your God, and you shall rejoice, you and your household. And as for the Levite who is in your cities, you shall not forsake him, for he has neither portion nor inheritance with you. At the end of 3 years, you shall take out all the tithe of your crop in that year and place it in your cities. And the Levite, because he has no portion or inheritance with you, and the stranger, and the orphan, and the widow who are in your cities, will come and eat and be satisfied for that, so that the Lord your God will bless you in all the work of your hand that you will do. Deuteronomy chapter 15. At the end of 7 years, you will make a release. And this is the manner of release, to release the hand of every creditor from what he lent his friend. He shall not exact from his friend or his brother, because the time of release for the Lord has arrived. From the foreigner you may exact, but what is yours with your brother, your hand shall release. However, there will be no needy among you, for the Lord will surely bless you in the land the Lord your God is giving you for an inheritance to possess. However, if you hearken the voice of the Lord your God, to be careful to do all this commandment which I am commanding you today, for the Lord your God has blessed you, as he spoke to you, and will lend to many nations, but you will not borrow. And you will rule over many nations, but they will not rule over you. If there will be among you a needy person from one of your brothers in one of your cities, in the land of the Lord your God is giving you, you shall not harden your heart, and you shall not close the hand from the needy brother. Rather, you shall open your hand to him, and you shall lend him sufficient for his needs, which he is lacking. Beware lest there be in your heart an unfaithful thought, saying, the 7th year, the year of the release, has approached. And you will begrudge your needy brother and not give to him, and he will cry out to the Lord against you, and it will be a sin to you. You shall surely give him, and in your heart shall not be grieved when you give to him. Because of this thing, the Lord your God will bless you in all your work and in all your endeavors. For there will never cease to be needy within the land. Therefore I command you, saying, you shall surely open your hand to your brother, to your poor one, and to your needy one in your land. If your brother, a Hebrew man or a Hebrew woman, is sold to you, he shall serve you for 6 years, and in the 7th year you shall send him forth free from you. And when you send him forth free from you, you shall not send him forth empty-handed. You shall surely provide him from your flock, from your threshing floor, from your vat, and you shall give him what the Lord your God has blessed you. And you shall remember that you were a slave in the land of Egypt, and the Lord your God redeemed you. Therefore, I am commanding you this thing today. And it will be, if he says to you, I will not leave you, because he loves you and your household, for it is good for him with you, that you shall take an awl and put it through his ear and into the door, and he shall be the servant to you forever. And also your maidservant you shall do likewise. You shall not be troubled when you send him free from you, for twice as much as a hired servant he has served you 6 years, and the Lord your God will bless you in all that you shall do. Every firstborn male that is born of your cattle or of your flock, you shall sanctify to the Lord your God. You shall neither work with the firstborn of your ox nor shear the firstborn of your flock. You shall eat it before the Lord your God year by year, in the place that the Lord chooses, you and your household. And if there be any blemish in it, whether it be lame or blind or any ill blemish, you shall not sacrifice it to the Lord your God. You shall eat it within your cities, the unclean and the clean together, as the deer and as the gazelle. However, you shall not eat its blood. You shall pour the blood on the ground as water.
I wanted to just reiterate that what you're hearing a couple of paragraphs back, starting in verse 12, when they're talking about like the Hebrew man or the Hebrew woman, we're not talking about who's conquered in war or in battle or whatnot, or refugees, but this is the meaning of slavery. This is biblical slavery. This isn't like what American slavery or the slave trade now that we still have going on across the world. It's this is what slavery was supposed to be. Once he served you, you don't just let him go empty handed. It's not like you give him a 50 and a Coke. You're giving them from your flocks. You're giving them from your wheats and whatnot. The point of slavery is so that they're not a slave. And from what I gather, not the point of having a non-Jewish slave is to put the tefillin on. You want them to go from their other gods to, I want to be a full-fledged member of you. I don't want to just be your servant. I want to produce something for, that's what you do. And that's how slavery works in biblically. How it's supposed to work is if someone's that destitute that they have to sell themselves or they had to steal and got caught, you don't want to let them go. It's not just like,
they earn their keep and the percentage on the work.
And it keeps the society moving forward. One thing I hear a lot about is financial recidivism. Is that the word, recidivism? In jail, in prisons and whatnot. It's like they get out of jail, but they got nothing. I mean, they've got some programs that try to help, but the recidivism, it usually comes back to too poor and and a lot of them just get back in. I'm not talking about like hard criminals, but a lot of these misdemeanor stuff, it comes back to a lot of times. They're not,
right.
They weren't sent out fulfilled. They didn't come out of the jail. They didn't come out of their trial. They didn't come out of their sentence. They weren't fulfilled. There was no even. There was, thank God I'm free. I don't want to go back. And you live like that kind of a thing. But there's, there's no, you know what I'm saying? And in the Bible that you want it for the good of the community, let alone the nation. You want to uplift your brother. It's about, so I don't know. I just had to bring that up once again because, people like think, oh, it's biblical, and it's like, what is slavery and debt? How do you get in debt? What is debt? That's a whole other topic right there. We could get into anyway. Go ahead, Rosalie. Or do you want me to pick up 16 or?
I can do it if you want me to.
You see what we got. Yeah, let's just get through it. We got a great. We can go right to the Torah.
All right.
All right.
Okay. Deuteronomy 16. Keep the month of spring and make Passover offering to the Lord your God. For in the month of spring, the Lord your God brought you out of Egypt at night. You shall slaughter the Passover sacrifice to the Lord your God of the flock and the festival sacrifices of the cattle in the place in which the Lord will choose to establish his name therein. You shall not eat leaven with it. For 7 days you shall eat it, masa, the bread of affliction. For in haste you went out of the land of Egypt, so that you shall remember the day that you went out of the land of Egypt all the days of your life. And no leaven shall be seen with you within all your border for 7 days. Neither shall any flesh you slaughter on the preceding day in the afternoon remain all night until morning. You shall not sacrifice the Passover offering with any of your cities in which the Lord your God is giving you, except the place that the Lord your God will choose to establish his name there. There you shall slaughter the Passover offering in the afternoon as the sun sets, at the appointed time you went out of Egypt. And you shall roast it and eat it in the place which the Lord your God will choose. And you shall return away in the morning and go to your dwellings. For 6 days you shall eat matzah, and on the seventh day there shall be a halt to the Lord your God. You shall not do any work on it. You shall count 7 weeks for yourself from the time the sickle is first put in the standing crop. You shall begin to count the 7 weeks, or which we call counting the omer. And you shall perform the festival of weeks to the Lord your God, the donation you can afford to give according to how the Lord your God shall bless you. And you shall rejoice before the Lord your God, you and your son and your daughter and your manservant and your maidservant and the Levite who is within your cities, and the stranger and the orphan and the widow who are among you, in the place to which the Lord your God shall choose to establish his name therein. And you shall remember that you were a slave in Egypt, and you shall keep and perform these statutes. You shall make for yourself a festival of Sukkah for 7 days, when you gather in the produce from your threshing floor and vat. And you shall rejoice in your festival, you and your son, your daughter, and your manservant, your maidservant, and the Levite, and the stranger, and the orphan, and the widow who are within your cities. 7 days you shall celebrate the festival of the Lord your God in the place to which the Lord shall choose, because the Lord your God will bless you in all your produce and in all the work of your hands, and you will only be happy. 3 times a year, every one of your males shall appear before the Lord your God in the place he chooses. Excuse me. The festival of matzah and the festival of weeks, and on the festival of Sukkah he shall not appear before the Lord empty-handed. Every man shall bring as much as he can afford, according to the blessings of the Lord your God, which he has given you. And that ends that. Now, the mafir portion that I have is different than what we've been reading. So do you want me to read that?
The mafir. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, the mafir portion is a little added extra that is said between different factions of Judaism. And this is Numbers chapter 28, verse 9. And on the Sabbath day, 2 unblemished lambs in the first year, and 2/10 of an ephah of fine flour as a meal offering, mixed with oil and its libation. This is the burnt offering each Sabbath on its Sabbath, in addition to the continual burnt offering and its libation. And in the beginning of your months, you shall offer a burnt offering to the Lord: 2 young bulls, 1 ram, 7 lambs in the first year, all unblemished. 3/10 of an ephah of fine flour as a meal offering, mixed with oil for each bull, and 2/10 of an ephah of fine flour as a meal offering, mixed with oil for each ram, and 1/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with oil as a meal offering for each lamb. A burnt offering with a spirit of satisfaction, a fire offering to the Lord. And their libations: half a hin for each bull, 1/3 of a hin for each ram, and 1/4 of a hin for each lamb wine. This is the burnt offering of each new month in its month throughout the months of the year. And 1 young male goat for a sin offering to the Lord. It shall be offered up in addition to the continual burnt offerings and its libation. There ends the Torah reading, the Parsha, and the Mafir.
Now, the Torah section of the Hebrew Bible that's directly pertaining to the portion of the Torah we're reading today, but is not part of the Torah, this year is a bit different too. This is on the Haftarahs for Shabbos Rosh Kadosh. So we're going to be reading from Isaiah 66. We're going to read the first 24 verses, which just might be the chapter itself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if we're ready, here we go. And we'd still love for you to join in. If we're reading in the, come on in and we'll get you in here and we'll chat. Anything biblical you want to discuss, whether we're talking about it today or something to question or a comment or say, Don't be shy. Please feel free. We don't bite, and we've got cookies. We're on the dark side. Okay. Again, Isaiah chapter 66, verse 1. So said Hashem, the heaven is my throne, and the earth is my footstool. What house could you build for me? And what could be my resting place? See, now, what were we reading throughout this entire Torah portion, Parsha today? In the place that I will tell you, in the place there you eat with Hashem. You don't eat with Hashem anywhere else. Kind of like the elders ate before Hashem's presence at Sinai. There's only one place you can eat before, and He will give it to you. All right, He will. It's always about He's going to get it. He's going to tell you where to go. When you do it, here's what you do. Well, this is about that. Here we go. I'll start from the beginning one more time. So said Hashem, the heaven is my throne and the earth is my footstool. What house could you build for me? And what could be my resting place? My hand made all these, and thus they came into being, the words of Hashem. But it is to this that I look, to the poor and the broken-spirited person who is zealous regarding my word. He who slaughters an ox as if he slays a man. He who offers a sheep as if he breaks a dog's neck. He who brings up a meal offering as if he offers a swine's blood. One who brings a frankincense remembrance as if he brings a gift of extortion. They have been chosen their ways, and their souls have desired their abominations. I too will choose to mock them, and what they dread I will bring upon them, because I have called, but no one responded. I have spoken, but they did not hear. They did what is evil in my eyes, and what I did not desire, they chose. Listen to the word of Hashem. Those who are zealous regarding His word, your brethren who hate you and distance themselves from you, say, Hashem is glorified because of my reputation. We shall see your gladness, and they will be shamed. A tumultuous sound comes from the city, a sound from the sanctuary, the sound of Hashem dealing retribution to His enemies. When she has not yet felt her labor, she will have given birth. When the pain has not yet come to her, she will have delivered a son. Who has heard such a thing? Who has seen its like? Has a land gone through its labor in one day? Has a nation been born at one time as Zion went through labor to give birth to her children? Shall I bring a woman to the birth stool and to have her give birth, says Hashem? Shall I, who causes birth, hold it back, says your God? Be glad with Jerusalem and rejoice in her. All who love her, exalt her with exaltation, all who mourn for her, so that you may nurse and be sated from the breast of her consolations. So that you may suck and delight from the glow of her glory. For so said Hashem, behold, I shall direct peace to her like a river, and the honor of nations like a surging stream, and you shall suckle, and you shall be carried on a shoulder and dandled on knees. Like a man whose mother consoled him, so I will console you. And in Jerusalem you will be consoled. You shall see, and all your heart will exult, and your bones will flourish like grass. The hand of Hashem will be known to His servants, and He will be angry with His enemies. For behold, Hashem will arrive in fire, and His chariots like the whirlwind, to requite His anger with wrath, and His rebuke with flaming fire. For with fire Hashem will judge, and with His sword against all flesh, many will be those slain by Hashem. Those who prepare and purify themselves to storm the gardens go one after another to the midst of the fray. Together will be consumed those who eat the flesh of swine, of abominable creatures and rodents, the words of Hashem. I am aware of their deeds and their thoughts. The time has come to gather in all the nations and tongues, languages. They shall come and see my glory. I shall put a sign upon them and send them as survivors to the nations. Tarshish, Pul, and Lud, the bow drawers, Tubal and Yavan, the distant islands, who have not heard my fame and not seen my glory, and they will declare my glory among the nations. They will bring all your brethren from all the nations as an offering to Hashem on horses, on chariot, on covered wagons, on mules, and with joyful dances upon my holy mountain, Jerusalem, and Hashem, just as the children of Israel bring their offering in a pure vessel to the house of Hashem. From them too I will take to be Kohanim and Levites, said Hashem. That was big too. We'll get back to that.
Mm-hmm.
For just as the new heavens and the new earth that I will make will endure before me, the words of Hashem, so will your offerings and your name endure. And it shall be that from new moon to new moon, and from Sabbath to Sabbath, all flesh shall come to prostrate themselves before me, said Hashem. They shall go out and see the corpses of those who rebel against me, for their worms will not die, and their fire will not go out. That shall be a disgrace for all flesh. And it shall be that from new moon to new moon, and from Sabbath to Sabbath, all flesh shall come to prostrate themselves before me, said Hashem. So all these nations that hadn't even heard of God were going to come to Jerusalem. They're going to bring back all your brethren from all the nations as an offering to Hashem, on horses, on chariot, and covered wagons, on mules, with joyful dances upon my holy mountain Jerusalem, said Hashem. From them too will I take to be Kohanim and Levites, said Hashem. So,
okay, mine went in a different direction.
All right, you go.
I've got 1 Samuel chapter 20, 18, and 42. And Jonathan said to him, tomorrow is the new moon, and you will be remembered, for your seat will be vacant. He's talking to David. And Jonathan said to David, go in peace, and bear in mind that we have sworn both of us in the name of the Lord, saying, may the Lord be between me and you, and between my descendants and your descendants forever. And that's where mine ends. Big Parsha.
You know, go ahead.
How many times does it say there, you shall not eat the blood? How many times?
Yep.
Pour it out on the ground as water. So guess what? You Yeshua lovers, you are breaking God's commandment by eating the body and eating the blood. Those who pass their children to fire, no more volcanic sacrifices.
Yeah.
No more children going into the volcanoes. No more children being burned on altars. No blood, no body. It is abomination to God.
Even though it's done in effigy, to even symbolically,
Exactly.
Yeah. Do not eat the blood. Do not eat the blood. Do not eat the blood.
Unblemished lamb, unblemished calf.
You mean I
no
can't
40 lashes?
I can't just kick the crap out of him but what if I nail the lamb to the wall first? Can I eat it then? I'm just kidding. No, I'm not. That's kind of funny.
Unblemished means nothing wrong.
Noahide humor.
Yes, I know. I get it.
But flesh with its soul, its blood you shall not eat.
Because the blood is the soul of the animal.
However, your blood which belongs to your souls, I will demand of every beast. I will demand it. But of man, of every man, for that of his brother, I will demand the soul of man. Whoever sheds the blood of man, shall his blood be shed. For in the image of God he made man. I give you everything to eat. Everything moving. This is for everybody. This is for a human being. I give everything that moves for you. Like the green herbage, I have given you everything. But flesh, semicolon, with its soul, its blood, you shall not eat. So what we're learning here and why I poured on the ground is when Abel was killed, and his blood was in the earth, he was able to cry out to God.
Right. God heard his blood on the ground speaking to him.
And he will take account of all the blood. So if there's blood not going in the ground that happens to pass through your digestive system first, you got a problem. So it wasn't ever spelled out like that in Genesis 9, which is what I was reading from. But yeah, the blood should be completely separate. The animal has to be dead, but the blood's got to be gone too. So I was also seeing that. Did I bring this up that they were going to be like righteous priests from the nations? I'll make Levites and Kohanim of them.
Right.
There are going to be people out here in the world who. So if you think it's all about Israel, it's really not. I mean, Israel's great. Israel's going to delight in the nectar, I guess, or the suckle of the nations that come to her. And one guy, I remember, I don't know who it was like, well, that sounds like they're just vampires or something like that. I was like, no, that means the nations will have nothing but nectar to give.
Right.
And instead of Israel catching dirt and blood and all kinds of stuff from the rest of the world, the nations, they're just going to delight in what they have become when the presence of Hashem is known worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like some of that nectar myself, nice. You hanging in there, Rosalie?
Yeah, with every last hair on my head still. I'm still above water.
At least you got something to hang on to. But anyway. Well, I guess if we don't have any questions, no questions, comments, no. All right then. Well, we'll just about head out then. Any last questions? Any last thoughts before we wrap this little bad boy out?
Kodesh Tav, the month of Elul is starting. Come Friday.
Yes.
Calling everybody home.
Yep. Well, I wish everybody out there the very best, and to my friends out there who are watching, who might be kind of in some trouble. It's a lot easier if you just, they say, come quietly and nobody will get hurt, say, in the old movies, come not necessarily come quietly, but, try not to fight the obvious, you know what I mean? Accept your limitations, accept what you've done wrong, because you can't make good on them. It doesn't mean when I say your wickedness will come back to you, if you can make good on that to the best of your ability, you might even be blessed on top of taking care of an iniquity in your life. Don't think something's going to save you from iniquity, of your own iniquities. You have to make good on them. We have to make good on them now and here in the living. So until then, Katie, say Shabbat Shalom.
Say Shabbat Shalom.
Here we go.
Shabbat Shalom, Katie.
And Maddie, if you're watching, she's been doing really good in Hebrew. We're well through half of the alphabet now, so
good.
That's coming along. I wish the best for you and yours. Rosalie, thank you for coming by. I'm real happy to see you. And
happy to be here.
Shabbat Shalom. There you go.
Shabbat Shalom.
Be well.